Hi friends, welcome to Magic Mustache Math. I am Ms. Cosmos and this is topic 10-2, multiply a whole number by a fraction. And we're going to be working on page 467 in your math textbooks. So if we're looking at the solve and share on page 467, Brandon has 6 eggs. He needs 2/3 of the eggs to make an omelet. How many eggs does he need? So I'm going to get a piece of paper because we're going to use a model or a picture to figure this out. So we have 6 eggs. And we're going to multiply that by 2/3. So in our model, we're going to have our 6 eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I'm going to show you a little trick. If you look at the number on the bottom, remember that when we're talking about fractions, the number on the bottom or the denominator tells us how many equal parts we have, and the top number tells us how many of those parts are shaded in. So we're going to kind of use that same idea to multiply this whole number by this fraction. So the number on the bottom tells us how many groups or sections we need to separate this 6 into. And the number right here is 3. So we're going to need 3 equal groups. So looking at the 6, I know that I can make these into equal groups of 2. Because I know, if I'm using fact families, that 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 divided by 3 is 2, so on and so forth. So because I know my fact families, I figured this out pretty easily. So now I've got them separated into 3 groups with 2 in each group. Now this number is going to tell me not how many parts to color in, but how many sections to color in. So I'm going to color in 2 whole sections. And in those 2 colored sections, in my 2/3 of 6, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, 4 whole parts that are colored in. So 2/3 of 6, or 6 times 2/3, is 4. So Brandon will use 4 eggs. So at the look back, should your answer be less than or greater than 6? And how do you know? So let's take a look at this. Normally when we multiply numbers together, we get an answer that's bigger. But not so when you're multiplying by a fraction, because you are multiplying by a number that is less than 1. 2/3 is not even a whole. It's less than 1. If you were to multiply 6 by 1, you would get a 6. Or if you multiply any number by a 1, you would get that number. When you're multiplying by a fraction that's less than 1, your answer has to be less than the number that you start with. Turn your page over to page 468. So Claudia has 8 yards of fabric. She needs 3/4 of the fabric to make a banner. How many yards of fabric does she need? So right here, they've cut it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. So 8 equal parts right here. Here's her 8 yards. And then if you go down to step 1, because you are finding 3/4 of 8, you will first divide the model into 4 equal parts, because 4 is the number on the bottom of the fraction. So this is the 8, and it's cut up into 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this right here looks really confusing, but just kind of roll with me for a minute. So what they're saying is that each of these sections is 1/4 of 8 because we cut 8 into 4 equal parts. If you take 1/4 times 8, you get 8/4. And you can see that because if we do our little super secret method, we get, and we multiply across the top, 1 times 8 is 8, 4 times 1 is 4. That's where we get the 8/4. And 8/4 is, of course, 2 wholes, because if we were to pull out 4, 4, we would get 4, 4 left, and these are our 2 wholes. Over here, it tells us to take 3 of these parts because of the 3 at the top of this fraction. So here we cut it up just like we did with our eggs, and now we're going to shade in or circle the number of those parts that is indicated by the top number of our fraction. So we end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of our 8 parts, so 6 yards. And if we come down here, you can see that they are, just like we did in topic 1, they are using the associative property to kind of distribute these numbers. So we started with 3/4 times 8. What they did here in these parentheses, they just pulled out the 3 wholes, just like we did in 10-1. And so we have 3 wholes times 1/4, because that's all that's really meant by 3 1/4. Then times 8, and then here we kind of reposition our parentheses so that there's 3 wholes times 1/4 times 8, which is what we did up here. We cut 8 into 1/4, and now that we've done this, we have done the math, and 8/4 is equal to 2 wholes. Okay, I'm going to say it again. So 1/4 times 8 ends up being 2 wholes. So they kind of just did the math over here. We've got our 3 times our parentheses 1/8 times 8. I'm sorry, 1/4 times 8. And that's where we get our 2. So now it's just 3 times 2 equals 6. Come down here to the convince me, represent, and connect. So Lydia found the product for 4/5 times 10. Below, use the model to show that Lydia's answer is correct. So Lydia did all of this math here, and she came up with the answer 8. And it's really simple for us to check this with a model. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have our 10 wholes. We are then going to look at our denominator, or our number on the bottom, to see how many equal sections or groups we need to break up this 10 into, and our number is 5. So I know that 10 divided by 5 is 2, so I'm going to bet that these are probably going to be broken up into groups of 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, we have 5 groups of 2. Now, our number on the top tells us, remember, not how many parts to shade in, but how many groups. And we are going to shade in 4 of the 5 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can count and see how many parts of the 10 got shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is what Lydia got for her answer. Thank you for joining me for Magic Mustache Math. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. And I will see you next time.